Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis here, and welcome to Season of the Splicer. If you guys are jumping in, we have a new seasonal quest item, and it is called the Splicer Gauntlet. And I do want to explain this, but before I get to it, I want to explain one other thing. So we're up here in the helm. The helm is actually on a new page, or new location, so it's actually on the top of the director. You don't have to go into the tower anymore. But you guys remember the Prismatic Recaster dealing with Umbral Engrams? We have a new page for Season of the Splicer. Please don't jump into focusing engrams yet. And the main reason is, well, there's actually two. One, it costs decrypted data for any type of focusing all through here. And the problem with that is the Splicer Gauntlet, the seasonal quest item, which is very similar to the Hammer of Proving from last season, it requires decrypted data to unlock the Splicer Gauntlet. So you don't want to focus an Umbral Engram and make your upgrade path longer. You'll have plenty of time to focus Umbral Engrams later on. Don't worry about this right now. Please do not focus Umbral Engrams, because the other reason is it's also costing twice as much. So apparently if this says 25, it's actually costing you 50 decrypted data to actually get one focused Umbral Engram. So my advice right now, skip any focusing of Umbral Engrams. If you get any Umbrals, just come over here to the Umbral Decoder. Go ahead, open them up. If you've got any, just go ahead and unlock them, get the random roll that's going to be in there, and just do the focusing later on. You got all season to work on that. But what I want to talk about with you guys is down here. If you haven't done the story yet, sorry in advance, but please jump into the story. That being said, this is the new Fallen kind of hub that we're working with Mithrax in the story, and we've got a little servitor that we're talking to. So we've got the Splicer Servitor. Now, before I get into the Servitor, I want to show you guys first the Splicer Gauntlet. So the Gauntlet itself, it says Mystical Sacred Splicer Device. You'll get that from Mithrax as you go through basically the opening seasonal quest chain. And you're going to get a currency called Ether. It's very similar last season to the Cabal Gold. It's a little more efficient this season, so the Cabal Gold really got to be a bit annoying. Not saying this is perfect. It's still going to have some grind and playlist stuff to it, but it is an improvement, to say the least. So what you're going to do is complete playlist activities, public events, and defeat combatants anywhere in the system to earn Ether. So the way the currencies work, if you do playlist activities, so Strikes, Gambit, Crucible, you're going to get 50 per activity. If you do public events and you do it Heroic, which you should be doing pretty much always, you'll get 25 from that. And if you defeat combatants anywhere in the system, you have a chance to get like basically one Ether from those guys. Every so often you might get a random drop of one. What you're going to do is use that Ether to craft key codes that can be used to open the Conflux Chests in Override. Override is the seasonal activity. Currently it's on Europa. Next week it's going to be on the Moon. Third week it's going to be on Tangled Shore. I don't know if it's going to go through a weekly rotation or if you're going to be able to access them all, but right now it is just on Europa. But it's a 6-person match-made activity. You're going to have a couple champion options in there, some barrier, some overload is what we got this week. So check your modifiers before you jump in, but it's match made. There's 6 people in there. It's kind of hard to fail it. It's not too bad. And I'll do a separate video over that one, but that's the activity. When you go through the override activity, at the end of it, after you beat the boss and kind of go through all the Vex Network stuff, you'll see 2 chests that spawn. One is a normal chest you can open no matter what. Second one requires a key code, and that is in here at the Gauntlet. As you can see right now, I have 1 of 4 key codes that I have available to me. I currently have 0 Ether, which I'll cover in a second. And then you'll see below that, it's actually going to tell you a bonus. Bonus Ether can be obtained by completing, currently, Strikes. Now, I've gone through 1 daily reset. I thought this would be a daily change. Maybe it's a weekly change. If it is a weekly change and it's a Crucible week, you might just have to suck it up and do some Crucible, or wait until it's a Strike week if you would prefer. But the idea is, if it's the bonus, you get 25 extra. So normal playlist activity, Gambit, Crucible, or Strikes are going to give me 50, but as Strikes are the bonus, I get 75 per strike. As you guys can see, my capacity is 0 of 150 Ether. I can do 2 strikes and max out my Ether, and then each key code, if you come in here, is going to cost me 50. So I can do 2 strikes and buy 3 key codes. So basically, for every 2 strikes, I get to go run the override activity 3 times. It's pretty decent. It's not quite as terrible. And there's some more upgrades that you'll be able to do later on. But that's the main loop. You're going to go into some playlist activity. My advice, do whatever the bonus is. Get your Ether that you need. Buy some key codes. And then you're going to jump into the override activity. And you're going to be earning that decrypted data. You're going to use that decrypted data right here at the Splicer Servitor. You've got bounties, you've got mods that you can buy. That's a discussion for another day. But the Splicer Gauntlet upgrade is going to look similar to the War Table and the Hammer of Proving. If you haven't seen one of these before, welcome. But the way this works is we're going to work on trying to be as efficient as possible at upgrading this thing that we can. So you've got a couple main priorities first. First one is going to be memory expansion. And the reason I'm going to tell you to do this one first is because then you can just drop down the other one that I did as well. So what it's going to do is allow the Gauntlet's ether capacity to be increased by 50. So now you can hold 150, which allows you to buy 3 keys and then go for, override 3 times. And you only have to do 2 strikes to do that. When you start, you only have 100. So my first piece of advice is do memory expansion 1. That way you have a capacity of 150, and 2 strikes, if it's the bonus, for example, is going to net you 3 keys, so then you can go do override 3 times. Every time you do that override activity, you're going to get 30 of the decrypted data that you guys can see down here that it requires to unlock all of these slots. 30 is not a ton. It's going to take you a little while to grind some of this out. So get comfortable in that override activity. Hence why it's nice to be able to do 3 for 2 instead of 2 for 2. If you're capped at 100 and you do a strike and you have 75 and maybe you kill a couple random enemies and you have like 79, if you go through and do another strike, you're only going to earn 21 more as opposed to the full 75 more. So make sure your first one is memory expansion. Now, I made this video yesterday. I unlisted it, and I'm remaking it because I learned this is honestly an extremely important category. I didn't think it was because it doesn't clearly state it. So override efficiency is the second column, and you're going to want to open all 3 of these before you do anything else. So from here, you can see override chests have increased rewards. Standard Vex chests now have a chance to drop seasonal gear. That's the one I told you that anybody can open with or without a key. The Conflux chest that requires the key now have a chance to drop umbral engrams and can drop up to 1 focused umbral engram per week, which is fine. I'm not worried about the umbral engrams. What it doesn't tell you, it increases the amount of decrypted data that drops from that chest. So Tier 1 takes it from 30 to 35. Tier 2 takes it from 35 to 45. And then Tier 3 takes it from 45 to 55. So when you get down to Tier 3, you're almost earning twice as much per override activity than you were from the start. Now, these are not going to be cheap. Tier 1 is 100, Tier 2 is 300, Tier 3 is 500. It's going to be a grind for sure. But if you unlock this one, every other node in this thing is going to go faster because you're getting 55 instead of 30 every time you do an override activity. So from here, I'm going to give you a couple recommendations. My advice for memory expanse, probably work on unlocking this completely. Memory expanse 2. It's going to get you up to 200 capacity, so you can have 4 keys, and then so you can buy 4 keys, and then you'll have a capacity for 5, so you always kind of have that buffer one. And then down here, you're going to get another 100. So you're going to be up to a full capacity of 300 total. And the nice thing is if you run 4 strikes, you're like, say you jump on one night for an hour, you run 4 strikes, and that's the bonus, or 4 Crucible matches or 4 Gambit matches. You have 300 ether. From there, you can buy 6 keys, so you can fill up your capacity, and then just, maybe you got to jump on another night. You don't have that much time to play. You jump on, and you can do override 6 times in a row. Just knock it out. They're done in about 10 or 11 minutes. So spend about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes in there. Knock that out, and you get 6 runs worth. And the nice thing is, when you do those 6 runs, instead of getting 30, so you earned 180, you got 55, so you just got a crap ton more. So go through memory expanse on your next run. And then after you have this column and this column done, I would actually do ether filter. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. Defeated combatants now have a higher chance to drop ether. You'll get one ether every so often when you kill an enemy. It's not a bad thing. Down here, defeated combatants now have a higher chance to drop ether. So every so often now you'll be earning a little bit more. And then down here is actually going to be an interesting one when I unlock it. I just don't know of anybody who's actually here yet. Defeated combatants now have a higher chance to drop ether, so that's still there, and it could be even higher. But ether earned from completing activities has been increased. So I don't know if the number goes from like the base number, not the bonus. So if the base for a strike is 50, does this take it to 55 or 60 or 65 or 70 or 75? Like, I don't know how much the increase is going to be, but this is going to be an important one as well. This little side shoot over here, I wanted to do it so I know what it did to explain it to you guys. Code Strider basically allows you, once you're in the Vex network, which I'll cover in a separate video for Override, If you have this unlocked, it's going to allow you to kind of hit a button and unlock some platforms that are much easier to go through, that don't have like laser walls and other things. It's a much easier platforming section. So if you have issues with that, you know, it's a fairly cheap one. You could throw that one in. The two columns that I really don't care about, and that I would tell you probably wait a very long time to upgrade because they're likely not to matter. And the reason I would wait is because we have stuff that's probably going to unlock in future weeks. And as some of these are tier 2 and tier 3, I mean, this is like 500, 500, 300, 300. That's 1,600 decrypted data that you're going to need to unlock these 4 alone. I would not dump anything into these categories until much later. Because deletion exclusion, laser wall defenses now deal slightly less damage to you inside the Vex network. They're mostly going to kill you anyway, so if it doesn't quite kill you, sure. But honestly, just like either don't get hit by them or don't worry if you do die because you're still just going to get pulled through. So it doesn't matter if it does less and less and less damage to you. It's still not going to be anything that's going to help you efficiently grind this thing out. It's just something you'll eventually have to unlock. Same thing over here. Ammo replenished by ammo crates in Override is slightly increased. Ammo's really not a worry in this activity that has a crap ton of enemies coming at you. So again, this is the absolute last thing to upgrade. Like if you have way too much time on your hands and you're just rolling in decrypted data, sure, if you've done everything, like if you've done this column and then you've done memory and then you've done ether and you've got this one, you're like, I still have like 2,000 because I play all the time. Maybe some people have that much time. Then you might go through deletion exclusion. But my advice is make sure you save enough. Like if you save up enough that you've got like 1,700 to make sure these are easy unlocks, anything after 1,700, then start dumping it into deletion exclusion, or then halt the open fire, or halt an open fire. But again, these are the last things you want to upgrade. And that pretty much covers it. So quick summation, you've got Splicer Gauntlet, you're going to go do your playlist activities. If it's not the bonus, you get 50. If it is the bonus, you get 75. As you kill enemies anywhere, you also have a chance to occasionally get sporadic single ethers. If you do a public event and it's heroic, which you should make them heroic, it's going to be 25. You're going to use that ether that you accumulate to buy key codes. You're going to take the key codes, or at least make sure you have a key code. Once you have one of those key codes purchased, you can jump into the override activity. When you go through the whole override activity, it takes about 10 or 11 minutes. It's not too bad with the, match-made group. I haven't had it much longer. When you beat the boss, there's going to be 2 chests. One that's open for everybody, the other one that requires the key. The key is going to open that chest and give you probably some seasonal gear, but it's also going to give you the decrypted data. And then you're going to use that decrypted data you could go focus Umbral engrams, but you could skip that for now, because you want to use that decrypted data to come in here and upgrade the Splicer Gauntlet as much as you can. So that is the seasonal grind for this one. That's the override activity and the Splicer Gauntlet kind of combo, and where the other playlists are going to tie in. I haven't touched transmog yet. I'll do a separate video on that one. I'll do another video on the override activity because there's some nuances in there. A couple tricks to point out. A secret guy that is kind of just RNG from what I can tell that gives you actually some bonus decrypted data, but it's not anything that I've seen that I can control. So trying to see if I can get that one to trigger, but not yet. So look for those future videos later. If you guys did enjoy this video, please drop a like below. Leave comments if you've got any thoughts about my upgrade path, if you prefer anything different. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this one and want to see those future videos that come out, hit that subscribe bell. It's a nice way to support the channel for free. Costs you nothing. And then also you've got the alert bell. If you turn on all videos, you'll see future videos that come from me. Hopefully they make it into your YouTube feed. I'm also over on Twitter, tweeting out tips and pictures and other stuff that I do, and then I also stream over on Twitch. Over on Twitch, I obviously am going to cover Destiny, of course, but I also mix it up and do a decent amount of variety streaming over on Twitch as well. So hopefully I'll see you guys over on twitch.tv/Ebontis, or you can follow me on Twitter. If you're new right here to the channel, thank you guys for checking out this video. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy Season of the Splicer, and I will see you all in the future. Have a good one.